All right. So Neil asked for us to answer three questions about basement sketches. We'll see how this goes. Normally, I feel like I'm better at making stuff than talking about it. But we'll give it a shot and see what happens here. So the first question: which of your submissions reflected change in your music making process? And to me, I would probably say Basement Sketches 8, when I did the cover of Call Me by Blondie. That probably changed my process. That was the biggest change in my process. So previous to that, I had done quite a bit of work with Reason, which is like an analog synthesizer program on my Mac. So I have access to like a ton of synthesizers and samplers and drum machines and like all that. And though that was like working out pretty good, it kind of seemed like, and there's a program like that, it seems like your options are endless. I felt like I was hitting a wall with that a little bit. Around the time I got a guitar, and I figured like, all right, I'm gonna just go analog this time and see what happens. So I recorded guitar into my Mac. I used GarageBand and just recorded clean into it. And recorded it in little bits and pieces. So I'd do like a measure or two at a time. I was a little picky and choosy, but ended up just kind of assembling the song. So I started with that, just the guitar part. And then after, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with the vocals. Like historically, typically, when I do vocals, and I'm not a vocalist at all, I record something and fuck it up with effects until it sounds pretty decent and it like kind of blends in or whatever, and then I'll just call it good. But I didn't want to do that for Call Me. So I ended up looking on the web to see if there was a cappella vocal track of Debbie Harry, and of singing it, and I actually found one. So I took that, brought it into GarageBand, and cut it up. So I cut up the vocals. I kind of cut and pasted the guitar part a little bit, and I recomposed the song. Added an effect to the guitar part through like this little amp called the world's smallest amp, I think is what it was called. Kind of has the sound of one of those little Fender, or like little like Marshall amps actually that you can get, that you could like stick a little 9-volt battery in, buckle it to your belt, and then just like kind of wander around with the guitar. So like the amp just kind of sounded like that. Added some effects to Debbie Harry's voice and called it good. I felt like it was just like way different. It was like way out of my comfort zone. And I feel like that really kind of changed how I ended up making music in the future with Basement Sketches. And I ended up appropriating that process again later on, where I did a cover of Black Sabbath's Fairies Wear Boots, where I did the same thing. I took the guitar part, recorded the guitar, found a vocal track of Ozzy singing the song, and pieced it together, put it through the world's smallest amp as well. So it's kind of a nice collaboration with Debbie Harry and like Ozzy as well. So, but anyways, so that is, I'd probably say Call Me was like the biggest change in my music making process. All right. Question number 2. Which of your submissions do you like the sound of the most? And I would probably say, like, bizarrely enough, I really like how Army of Me turned out, the Bjork cover. And that was Basement Sketches. I've got it right here. This number, Project 17. And I remember actually, like, I don't know, the backstory, I guess, was I remember like hanging out with Neil. I think like Grant Barrett. We were just kind of like hanging out one night, talking about I think we had just finished Project 17, and we were just kind of coming up with ideas for 18. And I think you were talking about everybody covering the same song, and like everybody was like pretty excited about that idea. And we did this like round of voting, or I think we did multiple rounds of voting, and like of all things, like everybody voted for Army of Me by Bjork, which is like, I was like so excited, and I kept like pushing to like have everybody do the same. So I was like, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta do this. And I can't stand Bjork. And so it was like, she's like one of those musicians where I've like just like really tried to like her. I mean, I have like a tape of a Sugar Hughes from like 30 years ago or whatever. And, but I just have never been able to connect with her. I've always wanted to, but I just can't stand her music. And so I was like, okay, like I like really tried hard to sell this idea. and like it came to life, and now we're doing a Bjork song. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna do my due diligence and see how I can make this work. And so you know, I had kind of like the way that my music was evolving. I wanted to really focus on trying to find ways of going from something like really mellow to like really intense and back to really mellow and really intense again. And I was really kind of focused on doing that with this song. And so I had a really good time, like kind of like just, I, I actually, like, to be honest, I don't think I've like listened to the entire song at all, like ever. But I found little bits and pieces of it and just, appropriated some of the vocals in there. I think I just like did a voiceover or something for it. And but I think that the part that I just was like super happy with was like the rhythm guitar and like the lead guitar. So I've got a Telecaster, but we had just like kind of come off of that Pink Floyd The Wall project. I think that was Project 17, and I really really enjoyed like trying to like emulate, but not really, like David Gilmour's like guitar sound. Like, hey, that sounds like ridiculous because like I'm like not even a fraction of the guitar player that David Gilmour is. Like I'm like 1/100th, but I like kind of found a way to make myself kind of sound like him, I guess. So, but anyway, I just really enjoyed kind of piecing this song together again. As I continue to talk about this, I keep saying that I'm like piecing songs together, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I did that with this, and I felt like the transitions from mellow to like intense were great. I was like super happy with that, and I was just like really pleased with the guitar parts, especially like some of the solos at the end. So yeah, there you go. All right, question number 3. Which of your submissions is your favorite? I would probably say that my favorite submission is Empty Spaces off of the Pink Floyd The Wall album cover for Basement Sketches 16. So, which is also like, I was also able to add What Shall We Do Now to it, which is kind of cool. So, there are like so many great things about this song. I feel like I grew up listening to Pink Floyd. I love Pink Floyd. Like, this is just like the ideal song for me. And on the record, for Empty Spaces, there was like only like the first part of the song, but in the movie, there like What Shall We Do Now is like it follows Empty Spaces, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna like add that song to this. This is gonna be like freaking awesome. So, and it's just gonna be like a huge surprise, and only like the hardcore like Pink Floyd people are gonna be like, yeah, that's like really cool. So super excited about that. But with Empty Spaces, I just remember as a kid, I had a record player and I had Pink Floyd The Wall on the record, and there was a backwards message on it. And I mean, this is like, the 80s, like pre-internet, where like, I mean, everything was just like word of mouth. I mean, there was like no like resource of information where you could get like, I don't know, get any of like your questions answered about anything pretty much. And on Empty Spaces, like I remember like hearing at school that there was like this backwards message, and you had to like play the record backwards in order to like decrypt this like hidden message. And I was like, holy shit, like this is awesome. And it was like really tough for me to figure out how to do that, because like on the turntable, like if you've got the like needle in the record and it's like playing one direction, and you can't really, it's like really difficult to force a record player backwards or whatever. And so I was like finally able to like decrypt the message, and it was awesome. And so like I wanted to like add this message. I wanted to do something really cool with the backwards message to this song. And it was like right around the time where Elon Musk was saying that he was going to buy Twitter, and it was like actually looking like it was a reality that like that was going to happen. And like that was like when the stock market the Tesla stock started going down or whatever. And like it was just like he just like sounded like I don't know, whatever, like Musk. I don't want to get into a big conversation about him, but I was just like so annoyed by that I, for the backwards message, it was just like about how much of like a fucking idiot Elon Musk is. And so like I was like up in my attic recording this, and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? What am I've been kind of like waiting to like just do this recording, and like everything just came together, and I was like laughing my ass off, talking about how Elon Musk is like a fucking idiot, and I like put that. I ended up recording that and then like reversing it, and so that's like kind of that backwards message. So, and I think only one person got it. So I think I was like texting Jacob Sharf about it a little bit, and like I think he like figured out a way to decrypt it or whatever, and thought it was, I don't know, anyway. But I was pretty excited, and I was pretty proud of myself for that, and I was like curious if anybody else was just going to purposely decrypt that or not. So anyway, so yeah, but I also just like love like that second part of the song, like the "What Shall We Do Now," and I really, I kind of just like wanted to play around with like guitar and harmonics and stuff like that, and I was like really kind of trying to capture like David Gilmour sound in a weird sort of way, and I don't know if I did it or not. I probably didn't, but it sure was fun, and I ended up like doing like layering like lead over lead over lead, and like doing these harmonics. I think I had just like watched some YouTube video about Metallica and how Cliff Burton used to like handle all the harmonics for like the Metallica songs. Like he was just like the master of like just like harmonics, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna like do this with this Floyd song. And so I did, and it like I was like super excited about it. I feel like I took the vocal part from What Shall We Do Now, and I like ended up like making that a guitar lead, and I had so much fun doing it. It was like great. And I mean, it ended up sounding like some like Scorpions song or some weird like Scorpions like 80s like guitar solo harmonic thing. But it was fun. So, and I almost like actually gave up on that too for a while. I didn't know what to do about the drums. So for Empty Spaces, there weren't any drums. It was just like kind of like this like groany like low like hum or whatever in the background. But for What You Really Do Now, like it needed drums. Like it just needed like drums were like a part of that song. And I didn't know. I think I ended up like finding like a MIDI drum set, like a MIDI of like that drum part or whatever, and I was able to like at the very last second just like pull it in, and instead of axing that song, I ended up adding that MIDI part, and I was like super happy with it. So, but I'd probably say that was one of the most enjoyable, fun songs that I've done for Basement Sketches. All right, and now for part two. Of answering questions for Neil. What 3 songs were the most inspiring and why? And this is tricky. This is like super tricky because there are so many awesome covers from all the different projects, and it's just been really fun to see everybody's interpretation of everything. I've got so many friends that are a part of this from different parts of my life, and so but I gotta say the first song that comes to mind right away, just like heads down, no question. Yeah, Children of the Grave by Eric Scott. And there are just like so many awesome things about the song and his interpretation of it. I think he did this for Project 2, and it was an acoustic version of it. It was kind of like almost like if Sebado were to do a version of Children of the Grave or something like that. And Children of the Grave is one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs, and it's just like so like intense. I remember like just the song itself, let alone like sing it live. Like I remember just like I saw Black Sabbath a few years ago. Wasn't really sure like what to expect or whatever, because and I when you hear the beginning of that song, like you just like get chills, right? I mean, it's just such an amazing song, and it's just like really really intense, right? But one thing that Eric kind of like called out in the description too is that it's just like this, like even when you like listen to the Sabbath play the song, it's like super intense, right? And but it's like this song where like you read the lyrics, and I mean, like if you read the lyrics are just like it gives like this message of like, you know, peace and promise and like love. It's just it's so like strange, like diving into like I mean the lyrics are like so like like the last part of the song. I mean, so children of the world, listen to what I say. If you want a better place to live in, spread the word today. Show the world that love is still alive. You must be brave, or your children of today are children of the grave. So, I mean, like, it's just, you know, and like, just like taking, like these lyrics in the song that, is like such an intense song. Like when you like listen to it, like, you know, listen to a recording of it or listen, like just like see the show live or whatever, and then just like put it into like this like interpretation where you've got like this like, acoustic guitar and it's like kind of like a more like not upbeat but just like kind of like a raw happier version of the song, not happier but more positive, or I don't know, I don't know, but it's just like this like interpretation was just like really enjoyable, and it was what pulled me into getting started with the Basement Sketches. All right, song number 2. I just listened to it again just now. I hadn't listened to it for a long time. It's so great. It's from Basement Sketches 6, and it's Beds Are Burning by Midnight Oil, Randy Devers cover. So it's great. And I just I mean, I've known Randy for a long time. I've known Randy since I don't know, like the 90s, when he was like a bass player in Orange 17, and I had, you know, for years always like just kind of considered him a bass player, and just moving to Minneapolis, you know, went over to his house, and he had started collecting synthesizers, and just like physical synthesizers and like just like samplers and just like all these electronic, like these like MIDI devices. So he became like the master of eBay and Craigslist and like finding all that stuff online. And I remember going over to his house and like going down to his basement and just like seeing like this like, I don't know, not really like a wall of like synthesizers, but he had like all the stuff downstairs like in his basement. And I was like, you know, like it's like super awesome. Like I love that stuff. And I'm like kind of curious, like if I had all that stuff, like what would I do with it? I don't know if I would, I don't know. Like it's just like, I don't know, just the idea of having all that stuff around is just like the physical stuff is just like super overwhelming. And it was like just super impressive, but I'm like, God, like what is he gonna do with all this stuff that he has in his basement? And when I heard this, like the like Beds Are Burning off of Basement Sketches, it was so great. Just I mean, like part of it was just like kind of like knowing like that like history behind like Randy and like just like him like just making music with all of that stuff that he acquired or whatever. And part like this song is just like so great. It's like so creative, so awesome. So there's like this like Fargo. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like this Fargo like piece of it that is just I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to explain. But there's like Fargo element to it, I guess, that that exists. Like just like this rawness or whatever, and creativity behind it, and you can just tell that he had so much fun making the song. So yeah, that's my second song. And my third song, it's so difficult to narrow it down to just 3 songs, but I've been going through like all the different Basement Sketches to figure out which ones stand out the most, and it's got to be Mr. Crowley, the Ozzy Osbourne cover from Basement Sketches 12, and Tom Stromstad featuring Jason DeMars. And like that was one of the songs that I had actually challenged people to do. I was really into just like watching these old like Ozzy Osbourne videos. and just kind of got sucked into learning more about Randy Rhoads as a guitar player. I didn't really know much about him, and I just remember in high school seeing everybody with the Ozzy Osbourne shirt, like holding up Randy Rhoads, and like I didn't really pay much attention to Randy Rhoads at the time, but just like there's like this video of Mr. Crowley, 1981, that I just got totally pulled into, and I just watched it over and over and over again, and just really, really enjoyed. I mean, the song is just epic. It's just the synthesizer at the beginning, like the guitar, just Ozzy and like the Randy Rhoads guitar playing is just unbelievable. And I was curious, and yeah, it's an epic song, and I was curious if anybody would even like attempt to try it. And I feel like I remember Neil releasing this song, or like releasing this Basement Sketches, and I was like going through all the songs, and I was like, holy shit, like somebody like did it. And I listened to it, and it was phenomenal. I mean, like at the beginning, you've got like it almost kind of sounded like horns, but it was just like this like modern day version of this 1981 synthesizer. So good. And then it just like broke into this acoustic version of the song where, I mean, it just almost seemed like it was like a classical guitar. And, I think that the vocals were just like beautiful. Once again, it had like this like, interesting like Sebado-ish type of sound to it. But then like the lead guitar, it was like kind of simplified a little bit and minimal, but just really nice and classical, and then ended again with that synth. So but I remember just being like blown away by somebody actually taking on this cover and like just like, I don't know, knocking it out of the park. So anyway, that was one of my most enjoyable songs that I experienced with Basement Sketches.